What is up, YouTube? It's Dre for Athletes back here with another video. Today we're going over, should you keep training if you feel pain? Let's get right to it. So, you feel pain during a lift. You're lifting, everything is going well, and then all of a sudden you feel pain. Okay? So there's two different things we can go here. Okay? Is it sharp pain or is it dull pain? That's the first thing you have to identify, right? Because they're two completely different things. Okay? We'll start with the easy one. So if you feel pain during a lift and it's sharp pain, right? We go here. If it's sharp pain, stop the set right away and see a professional if it is not clear up. Guys, with sharp pain, a lot of people keep pushing, but a lot of times with sharp pain, if you continue going, like if you continue pushing through the set or with whatever you're doing, that specific movement, it will turn into an injury, right? Sharp pain is not something that you want to play around with, right? So again, if you feel sharp pain at all, it's not worth it, right? And this is not to say if you feel sharp pain anywhere in your body, you should stop working out. No, I'll give you an example. If you feel sharp pain somewhere in your leg, right, and you're hitting a full body workout, you can still do arms, right? You can still hit arms if that sharp pain doesn't come up while you're doing the arm workout, right? So to make it easy and simple, if you feel pain during a lift and it's sharp, you stop right away and see a professional that does not clear up, okay? Now we get into the nitty-gritty, okay? You feel pain during a lift and it's dull, okay? Does it get worse the longer you go? So if the pain is dull and it gets worse the longer you go, stop and regress the movement, okay? So by regress, I mean don't go as hard, right? Let's say you're doing, again, an example, let's say you're doing 60 pounds on overhead shoulder press, right, with dumbbells, and you feel dull pain, and it gets worse, right? The more you do reps of shoulder press, it's getting worse. Stop, and instead of doing 60s, right, instead of actually pushing yourself really hard, do 40s, 30s, right, to where you're not really feeling that dull pain, okay? And then obviously rest it and reassess next session, okay? If you feel pain, it's dull, and it does it get worse the longer you go? If it doesn't get worse the longer you go, okay, the next thing you have to assess is it joint or is it muscle? Okay, and I have this little sticky note right here, how to tell if it's joint versus muscle. Okay, so joint pain feels deep and stuck in one spot, like it's coming from inside the joint. It hurts hard in one specific position and does not go away as you keep moving. Okay, muscle pain feels more like tightness or a burn spread across the muscle. It is duller, not as sharp, and it usually loosens up a little once you keep moving. There's not much really else I can say. I mean, it's just like a feeling, right? So really take a mental screenshot or even screenshot this and have it in your phone to understand there is a difference between joint and muscle. Okay, so back to the top here. You feel pain during a lift. We already covered if it's sharp, you stop right away and see a professional if it doesn't clear up. If it's dull, if it gets worse the longer you go, the dull pain, stop and regress the movement, rest it and reassess next session. So does it get worse the longer you go? Back to dull pain. No, okay, joint or muscle. So if it's a joint, you have to back off the load or change the angle and watch it closely the next few sessions. Okay, back to that example of the shoulder press, right? Let's say I'm doing a shoulder press and my arm is getting a little too low and I feel that dull joint pain, right? Maybe don't go as low, right? Change the angle. This is what it means by changing angle. It's still safe to continue, right? Joint pain is still safe to push through. But guys, this entire time, if you feel any pain, you shouldn't be pushing as hard, right? Regardless, okay? You shouldn't be pushing as hard. So back up here, if you feel pain during a lift and it's dull and it does get worse the longer you go, if it doesn't, right? Obviously, if it does, we already went over this. If it doesn't and it's muscle, does it limit your range or your strength? If yes, lower the intensity and do not push through it. So if it's dull pain and it's muscle pain, dull muscle pain, and it does lower your range or your strength, you have to lower the intensity, do not push through it. And this lower the intensity, just like I said, guys, this is for everything, right? Obviously, if it's sharp, you're gonna stop right away. You're gonna stop the set right away. So there's no need to regress or lower the intensity. But you can see here, like, you have to stop and regress no matter what you feel, right? No matter what you feel, even if it's like, even if it doesn't limit your range or your strength, right? Because even if it doesn't, you're not going to be at your best. You still feel pain, right? And so I recommend to lower the intensity no matter what. If you feel pain in your body, you just have to accept that it's not going to be your best day in the gym. Okay, so back up top here. I'm going through this like every time just so you have a clear picture. So you feel pain during the lift. It's dull. Okay, does it get worse the longer you go? No. And it's muscle. Okay, does it limit your range or your strength? We went over this, yes. No, keep training, just monitor how it feels, right? You are good to keep training smart. So you see the difference here between the joint and between the muscle, right? If it's dull pain with the joint, changing the angle will help a little bit, right? If it's with the muscle, most of the time, if not all the time, changing the angle won't really help simply because it's the muscle. And so you can just continue training and just monitor how it feels, right? With the joint, it says back off the load here. I put back off the load. But like I said, guys, like back off the load either or. And you're good to just keep training smart, right? By training smart, I mean don't go PR. And I fell victim to this as well myself a lot of the times where it's like, dude, I want to hit a PR, but you just have to accept that it's not your best day. And on any day you feel pain during the lift, right? On any day, you guys have to understand this. On any day you feel pain during the lift, you have to accept that it's probably not going to be your best day and it's probably not going to be your strongest day or most athletic day. And you have to understand that this isn't the day to shoot for crazy PRs or crazy numbers in the gym, right? You just have to kind of go about this entire thing and understand that you need to monitor it, right? You need to monitor it. And one thing I'll say too is with this sharp pain, all these red flags, like stop the set right away for sure. Like I said, you can continue training if it's a different body part that doesn't kind of inflict that sharp pain. But don't just go about your day and don't really pay attention to it and kind of hope it goes away on its own, right? Because a lot of the time it will. But like, see a professional if it does not clear up. I recommend if it's really, really severe, like more than like 5 or 6 out of 10, like if it's like a 7 or above out of 10 sharp pain, go to a physiotherapist like right away. Because guys, there's just no point of just hoping it's fine, because a lot of times that's when you'll run into issues down the road. Your season will start, or you'll just hurt yourself even more down the road. And with something that you could have kind of prevented right early on, maybe taken like 1 or 2 weeks off early on, you decide to push through it, hope it goes away on its own, and then like in 2 weeks, it becomes a huge injury, right? And then you're out for 2 months, right? And so that's just one thing to think about with this thing. I know it sucks, right? I know you don't want to stop, but that's just in the grand scheme of things, like looking into the future, it would be way better if you just stop, assess it, and then hopefully, it goes away on its own, or you see a physiotherapist, okay? So I hope I made it very clear how to tell if you should continue lifting, if you should train through pain. I'll go here one more time just so you can see this, the joint versus muscle distinction, and that's pretty much all I have. I mean, it's very simple, right? Sharp pain, don't train. If it's dull, joint and muscle, you're probably fine, just don't push it. If it's joint, you can change the angle, right? If it's muscle, keep training, just monitor how it feels. That's pretty much it, guys. Like it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just about being aware and understanding your body enough to actually make these changes in your training and make these adjustments. Because I mean, no matter who you are, like you're going to go through these pains, these aches, right? And so it's all about knowing if you should continue training or not, right? Just because you stop training doesn't mean you're weak, doesn't mean you're not as good as the other people, right? It just means your body, it's giving you information right now, and you need to kind of back off, right? If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, drop a like, and again, any questions, let me know. And any questions about future videos, like if you have any recommendations about future videos, drop a comment. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Let's get it.